Hi, my name's Temi, also known as Chef TTK, and these are my 5 tips to level up restaurant-style food at home. One of my top 5 tips is plating. Now, the reason why plating is important is because plating ensures that visually your food looks good. Now, restaurant food always looks good on a plate, so when you're at home, the best thing to do is not to pile food on a plate to make it restaurant style, is to actually make it look good by using maybe smaller ingredients and smaller portions that makes it look pleasing to the eye. Let me give you guys an example. So I'm sure a lot of us have been to Vapiano's and maybe a more high-end Italian restaurant. Now, if you compare Vapiano's to a higher end restaurant, you'll see that Vapiano's has a nice plate. Now, the difference between the Vapiano's plate and the Italian high-end plate is that Vapiano's plate is filled up and the Italian plate has a lot more room. So in order for them to make that plate look good, they have to decorate it with a smaller portion, but decorate what's around it, so the space around it. And that's why Vapiano's plate and their plate differ. Now, if we compare it again, if Vapiano was to do what they do and put it on a flat plate, it will look a lot more messy. Why? Because your sauce is now gonna spread around your plate, your pasta is gonna be a bit more flat around the plate, there's gonna be peppers, tomatoes all around the plate, whereas in a bowl, it's filled up to the top and there's no room left for like mistakes or for the plate to look ugly or discharged. So, another tip that I can give you guys is produce and ingredients. So when I say produce, I mean stuff like the vegetables you buy, the garnish you buy, the chicken, the meats you buy. Now the reason is because you get different qualities in different places. Now you can maybe see Tesco's brand, you maybe see Sainsbury's brands, but then you might see organic ingredients. And now some of these ingredients will have better colors and just better visuals. And when you're putting things on a plate, things that catch the eye is color. So if you have produce, for example, a tomato, one that's redder than the other, maybe because it's organic or maybe because of the way it's grown or it's farm-based, then it's obviously gonna look better on a plate, and plus it will actually taste better on a plate. Because as we said, one of the tips was plating, right? But if you're plating something that's not colorful, it's not really gonna be catchy. And that's the reason why restaurant-based food usually looks a lot nicer than something we make at home, because if something looks good, automatically you're gonna think it tastes good, rather than it just looking okay and then tasting okay. If something looks okay and tastes okay, you're probably gonna say, this doesn't really taste all that good. So that's another tip to level up your restaurant style food at home. So these tips are gonna sound quite similar to each other, but they're really going to mesh together and make sense. So the next tip is knowing the basics. Now, knowing the basic essentially helps you create a better dish than trying to start from just like, for example, plating. Because if you don't know how to use simple ingredients but make them look quite intricate, it's not gonna look good on a plate. So for example, you may have some shallots or some onions or some tomatoes. Now, if you can't chop these things, for example, finely, how are they going to look fine on a plate? For example, we might be making spaghetti bolognese. Now, restaurant style spaghetti bolognese, a lot of the time you can't even see the onion, you can't see some of the peppers sometimes. Reason being is because they've chopped it so fine that once it's cooked down, it practically disappears. So knowing the basics is very, very important. Also knowing things like the ingredients you should use, the seasonings you should use. For example, I know a lot of us at home may just use Maggi cube seasonings, we might just use some aromatic seasonings, and that's what we use for everything. Now, the problem with that is, once you make a dish like that, it's just gonna taste the same. So the main thing is knowing the basics and knowing how to use different things to make your dish stand out and to make it taste different. I know there are a lot of ingredients that, for example, us black people already use. Like I know we have some serious seasoning comes with everything you can probably list, but I'm sure there are some seasonings that you probably don't know, mainly because you've just got multiple of the same seasonings in your cupboard. For example, something like kaffir leaves, you can use it to make like a Thai green curry. Now, a lot of the time we look for the easy way out. But for example, when we make Caribbean dishes, for example, because we know it, we might make our own jerk paste. Just because we can find the resources to make it, we know about our pimento seeds, we know about our spring onions, our scotch bonnets and whatnot. But for example, if I asked you to make a Thai green curry, would you know to use kaffir lime leaves? Would you know to use your cumin, your coriander powder? Would you know to use your spring onions? Would you know to use your lemongrass, for example? All these ingredients are key to making your dish level up and to making it taste great. So there are so many little things that we should try to incorporate in our cooking that will take it from just that basic food that we taste at home all year round and level it up to something that can be seen in a restaurant. I'd like to start this tip by saying style. Now, style of cooking is so important because it differentiates you between one another. When you go to a restaurant and they try to create everything you can think of, from breakfast to African to Caribbean to maybe some Turkish and whatnot, it's not the best food. Why? Because they haven't found their style of cooking. It's like they're still trying to discover that style of cooking by cooking so many different things, and then maybe a few years down the line, you might see them now remove so many things from the menu that was once there because they've now found their style. So once you discover your style of cooking at home, it really does help you level up, and then it also makes you perfect one section and then you can move on to another. Because the problem I find at home is that we tend to bounce around a lot in the beginning without actually understanding our style of cooking. So for example, a lot of the time you will hear someone say, oh, I can't cook this, but I can cook a mean spag bowl, or I can cook a mean tagliatelle pasta, or I can cook a mean stew. Now, once you find out how to cook that thing mean to perfection, you should then move on. Why? Because there's no level of growth there no more. You've learned how to do that the best. So finding out your style of cooking is very important. And that stems from finding something that you like to cook, that you can cook, and perfecting it, and then moving on to trying to do other things in such a flamboyant and big style. Now, this tip is all based on color. I can say to you, let's make, for example, something very simple. Let's make French toast. Let's make French toast, right? Now, French toast is basically bread dipped in egg, cinnamon, salt, whatever, mixed with egg, yeah? And we fry it. When you put that on a plate, all you see is brown bread or white bread, whatever it is. You put some maple syrup over it. But what takes it from food at home to restaurant style is how they now color it, what they garnish it with. So they might cut up some red strawberries, some kind of burgundy raspberries, some like purplish black blueberries. And now when you put that all over the plate, suddenly the French toast doesn't just look like French toast from home, it looks like French toast in a restaurant. So color is so key. And you often see in restaurants, they don't even put things on the plate that you can sometimes eat. They might just put a pepper there that's raw, but just because it adds color to the plate, they want to put it there because they know you're gonna look at it. You might look at it and think, am I gonna eat that? But before you look and think, am I gonna eat that? You're thinking, no, this plate looks really nice. And that color to the plate essentially takes your plate from home looking plate to a restaurant style plate. Different variations of fried rice. We can make different types of fried rice, special fried rice, egg fried rice, king prawn fried rice, duck fried rice, whatever type of fried rice. But essentially, fried rice does not need to take that long to make at home. It doesn't even need a lot of preparation work. And you can have the same takeaway style fried rice at home using cheap ingredients as well. Now, the only difference is that you do need certain ingredients to level up this dish. For example, a key ingredient I would say is oyster sauce, fish sauce that a lot of people don't use, quality soy sauce. Now, like I said before, it's about your produce, so you do need some quality soy sauce, not like soy sauce that you buy like Tesco brand and whatnot. To finish it off, you always, and I stress you always need some toasted sesame oil. To make this quickly at home, I can quickly talk you through it. Let's say we're making an egg style fried rice with all these ingredients, and let's say we're using king prawns or chicken, king prawns or chicken. Essentially, what you want is a really good wok. You need it to be flaming hot. So you want probably a flame, not an electric cooker. You probably want a natural flame around it. And to start off, what I would do is I'll put a decent amount of oil in there, maybe like 2 cups of oil, depending on how much you're cooking for. You would get your egg. Now you'd whisk your egg in a bowl. You throw it in there hot, so your egg's cooking really quick, and you will mix that all around, trying to break up that egg quickly. You will get your parboiled rice, your cooked rice, that's been cooked maybe for a day or whatnot. You would throw it in there. Now you mix it all together, Now this is fried rice, so it's cooking very quickly, so you have to be quite on the ball. Now once that's cooking, you would then add either your cooked prawns or your frozen vegetables. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking with frozen vegetables, like it's not gonna defrost in time. Now I kid you not, I'm telling you it will defrost in perfect timing. You throw your frozen vegetables in there, then you season with your oyster sauce, your fish sauce, your soy sauce, your light and dark soy sauce, maybe sprinkle a bit of sugar in there. You can add your peppers in there or whatnot. If it's not frozen already, you can add some chopped peppers and whatnot. Then, once that's all meshed together, you'll see the color changing, obviously because of the dark soy sauce, the oyster sauce and whatnot, start changing color. Then you will finish it off with some spring onions and some toasted sesame oil. Turn off the cooker, mix that all in. I'm telling you, once you add the sesame oil and you add the spring onions, you will literally start to smell and see the dish change completely. Now, This dish might sound like it took long or you need quite a few ingredients, but I promise you it's such a quick dish, and you can even see on my Instagram, it's really a quick dish that you can make in essentially 15 minutes. Once you've got everything prepped, it's a dish that you don't need to do a lot to make it a quality dish at home.